Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're going to, continue to talk a little bit about free agency. There was a few moves that have happened since we talked last week. Nothing, too major, I guess. We knew some of you didn't know where these players would go. So I guess we'll jump right into it here. How about Golden Tate? Golden Tate's probably the only actual name that might do something fantasy wise that's signed somewhere, right? And that's with the Giants. So I don't know what that means for him. I don't know why he would sign there, actually. He doesn't care to win, does he?
No, well, I guess not.
That's just gonna not be a good team. But fantasy-wise, he's obviously better than Sterling Shepard, right?
Tell you the truth, I don't know. I like Golden Tate. I think that they're probably different players.
Yeah, I guess. I don't feel good about pretty much anything on this team. The more I think, except Saquon, which I'm even worried about him a little bit because Eli hasn't been good, and if Eli actually gets worse, I've been starting to worry a little bit about Barkley, and he's been like an easy number one rank, no problem. I put him number one in my preseason ranks. A lot of people have. I think he's probably number one right now. On Fantasy Pros, I'll pull that up. Yeah, he is. He's number one. I'm starting to worry, just because I think the team's bad, and it's just you're throwing a Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram, which they're all okay. We've talked about Evan Ingram. We like Evan Ingram, especially better without Odell. But just because of the volume, I just worry, actually. I'm starting to worry. I think the teams can, without Odell, the more I thought about this since last week, is teams really can just key on Saquon now.
Yeah.
Or is he that good?
I personally think he's that good. But also, Odell's definitely a frightening person to see across the line, and people have to do a lot of game planning to try to take him out of it. But like you said, Eli hasn't been that good, and don't tell me last year, at least the second half of this season, they weren't looking at it and saying, you know what, I think Saquon is probably the bigger threat here.
True.
And Eli wasn't going to beat him, so they have to. You have to think that, okay, if we take away Saquon, we're going to put the ball in Eli's hands and make him beat us, and then we'll just even on top of that, we're going to double Odell. And then and it never happened.
True.
So I think Saquon is still, if you're talking about the top pick, there's definitely a discussion to have.
But who's the discussion between even? No one seems to think Todd Gurley's there anymore.
Oh, well,
because people are morons. That's why.
I was going to say, tell me the reasoning behind that once again.
Currently Gurley's 3. He's third now, which that's fine.
That's fine.
It's still fine, but
was it Saquon, Zeke, and then
it's still fine. That's fine. But somebody has him 16th.
Okay, what?
It's another 16th. Somebody has him 10th.
Okay.
And the guy who has him 10th, Smitty. We're actually in an Instagram league. A bunch of Instagram accounts, some other people, some nice, some non-Instagram accounts, some good people. We're in a league with him, so I think I might be able to get Gurley if he's going to say he's 10th, the 10th running back. Hopefully he's listening.
Yeah,
I'm not calling you out. You're a good guy, but
I guess we're waiting to kind of find out. I think if we get closer and then people realize that whatever happened in the Super Bowl was more fluky than anything else.
I don't know. People are. It's.
A slave to one game. That's what it's coming down to, really.
I went over that. Before how his number.
Yeah, they don't support whatever the heck is going on in people's minds.
He's perfectly fine. There's, just it kind of irritates me yet. It does.
Yeah. So okay,
but okay, we were talking about Golden Tate signing, right?
Yeah.
That's what we started.
Well, before we move on, like the Saquon thing, if that is worrying you, where does he fall then? Does he fall to number 3 or?
See, I don't know where I have these guys ranked right now. I guess I can't see. That's why I'm fine with Gurley at 3 because if Gurley's healthy and I was healthy, I think Gurley's still my surefire number 1.
Yeah, Gurley, Zeke, and Saquon, I think are all very tried and true running backs.
And Zeke, I think, man, this is
Well, Zeke, he should have had a down year last year if he was going to have
He's
one.
just so good and just so consistent. And he's catching the ball a little bit more.
They should have a better passing game this year as well.
Saquon's the most talented. I just think that team. Yeah. I just hate that Eli Manning's his quarterback. I hope they draft one. If they draft one,
first of all, I think they're absolutely going to draft one. But the question is, how long will Eli be able to outlast his, the young gun that's coming up for his spot?
Well, that's the thing. If they are able to draft somebody, I won't be as worried. Maybe because if Eli's terrible, just bring the young guy in.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is that better or worse?
Maybe the young guy would be bad too.
I mean, we just don't know until.
I don't know. I'm overthinking this. Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Evan Ingram are probably fine. They're probably good enough to.
I think that's a very solid.
It is. It's Eli.
Wide receiving crew.
It's Eli.
Oh yeah, 100% it's Eli. He just hasn't been doing what he needs to do the past few years.
Yeah.
But I honestly, without Odell, you have to wonder what that opens up as well. Obviously, there no one on that team is Odell after he has left. Saquon, I really do believe that he'll just be fine as long as they're halfway decent, and I think they have enough talent to do that. Tate, yeah, he's not going to take the top off a lot of defenses. He's not as a crazy athlete as Beckham was, but he's able to get open. He's sure-handed, and he can move the chains. Sterling Shepard has shown himself to be a very valuable number 2 wide receiver. Maybe he can make a jump forward. And Evan Ingram, we've talked about it how many times, and it's enough to say once more at least. But when Beckham has been hurt, he has shined the past 2 years.
Yep.
So does it open up the offense? Maybe Eli just wasn't good at the deep ball anymore. Maybe that's not his game, and maybe they can switch to something that is a little better for his arm, and so maybe it opens up the offense a little bit for something that they're kind of built for.
Could.
I think I'm being a little too nice.
I don't know.
But maybe.
I'm too worried. And it shouldn't be probably. He's fine. He still might probably going to be end up number 1 probably.
Yeah, I have no issue with Saquon.
Yeah.
So, Tate, first of all, do you think that he's lost anything? Do you think he's a good wide receiver
I think he's still very solid. I mean, he was with Detroit and I think it just took him some time to figure out Philadelphia before he just joined the team midseason. That's not easy. Right now, the early ranks, people have him at 38th, I think, right now, and Sterling Shepard's 39th. So that's going to be the thing early on. Is I want Tate more than I want Shepard. We know more about Tate. We just know he's probably pretty solid. I just don't know how good. He's not going to be higher than 30s for me. Just don't know where, but he'll be somewhere in the 30s probably. Because there's other guys that have moved up, like Chris Godwin's going to be moving up in that level, and there's other players that I'll want ahead of him, Mike Williams, and those kind of guys, but. He's solid, but I don't want him for. Obviously at the absolute best, he's my 4th, right? You don't want him before your 4th receiver.
Tate?
Yeah.
No, I would feel. I'm kind of with you on that one. I like these players as in kind of throw-ins or non-starters, and you kind of be like, okay, what do I have here?
Because even people after Tate currently in rankings like Christian Kirk. Anthony Miller, Michael Gallup, even. Who knows what those guys... I like those guys a little better. I think they're more interesting. So I just have a feeling I'm not going to have Golden Tate on many teams. It just is... It's uninteresting to me. And I don't exactly know how it's going to work out. But this is... We're so far from the season right now. We have no idea how it's going to work.
That's always the problem.
Or, it could go either way. It's just he could just be a name that people draft because he's a name yet. But they gave him a decent contract. Or he's the guy that, because he's uninteresting almost and boring at this point on a team that no one cares about, that he's going to fly under the radar and you're going to get really good value and get a very productive player for nothing. So I can talk myself into either argument. Yeah. Doesn't matter. You go one way, I'll be able to make the argument the other way.
I know. I could make an argument even if you wanted to, Shepard versus Tate.
Right? Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. You can go for the young guy. You can go for the guy that, is a little more, veteran status. We think that maybe he could probably figure out how to find the holes in the defense. Maybe he helps Eli out a little more. Sterling Shepard, you could make the argument that without Beckham there, who gets a ton of targets. Even Shepard, and this was actually surprising to me. So just the 3 years he's been in the league, and obviously Odell has been up and down injury-wise, right? In and out of the lineup. His rookie season, when he was only 23 years old, he played all 16 games, and he had 105 targets, only caught 65 of them, 683 yards, and 8 touchdowns. The touchdowns, you're like, oh, wow, maybe you have something here. The very next year, he is hurt. He only starts 10 games. But he has 59 receptions, 731 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he actually goes up in yards, even though he has 6 less games. I'm sorry. Then finally, last year, when it felt like it all kind of fell apart, like, the Giants just weren't doing it, he had 107 targets still. Only caught 66 balls for 872 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Beckham was there the majority of it. So... And 107 targets and only catching 66. That's rough. But
yeah, it is.
Can those numbers actually amp up? Like, is this guy a guaranteed 1,000-yard guy? Could he get back up to that 8 touchdowns? Is this guy going to be a valuable asset to have that you can get very late?
Maybe, but Eli might suck.
Well, those are these numbers he got was when Eli was playing probably his worst season of football.
That's true.
And their offensive line, just to put it out there, should actually be better. They're finally starting to. They're supposed to get their center back from injury, or if they play him at center, I don't know if they're going to play him at guard. Supposedly they have left tackle worked out. They could have a better offensive line this time around because it was really piss poor last year.
It was, yeah, man. You know what? I think just having Saquon on the team. If they didn't have Saquon, I would say this team's just going to be terrible. They can't do anything. But maybe Saquon just alone does help them, and the passing game. They probably are going to be okay.
Yeah, they definitely don't have that ace in the hole. They don't have that number one wide receiver. But maybe that's better because no one person can demand the ball when you have a quarterback that has a hard time getting it to him. Yep. And so having the talent spread out between Ingram, Tate, and Shepard, and then you kind of are buoyed by Saquon. But once again, he's a different kind of animal. Like, you're going to be able to hand him the ball and throw him the ball a ton, and that doesn't affect, the wide receivers necessarily.
Yeah, I'm probably overthinking the Eli thing. Because
he's bad. Don't get me wrong.
Anybody else you put in there, you're like, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Is he that bad? Is he really that bad?
He was that bad last year.
Okay. With Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham, Evan Ingram. Yeah, he was bad.
They lost so many games, so many close games last year where, if he was halfway decent, there's a lot of things that go into it, but at the end of the day, quarterback, the buck kind of stops with them. And, he's won multiple Super Bowls, so it's not like you can.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like we're being overly harsh on him. Like, he just wasn't that good.
Well, so we've spent 13 minutes talking about the New York Giants.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think yet. I'm just sitting here. I think we know what Saquon is. Yeah, at worst he's the third, which he's probably first on most people's. At worst he's the third running back, but I don't know what. I think we know what Golden Tate's going to. I think Golden Tate's going to be solid, but yeah, Sterling Shepard's a wild card here.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that everyone sees Tate as the higher pick because that means that I can get Shepard way later. And I would rather take a shot at Shepard if I'm thinking about it, as long as I don't have to overpay for anyone. I'd rather take a shot at the young guy that has room to grow. I think Tate is what he is, and that's great.
I would definitely like to take a flyer on Shepard late. It's later receiver. I think it's not bad.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can talk about some of the other random signings. Tate was probably the biggest one, and he definitely filled the need there. But I think the by far the second biggest deal is probably Brashard Perriman going to the Bucs.
No, man.
I can't believe the guy got a contract, actually.
Yeah,
he was such a bust.
Yeah, hold on to that money.
I saw that name on here. I'm like, oh, wow, he actually got a deal. But, okay, let's some others. Miami got rid of Ryan Tannehill. So Tannehill is gone. And they had no quarterbacks at the time. So the new quarterback now in Miami is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is, I guess, their starting quarterback. I don't know if you can go into a season with Ryan Fitzpatrick as your sure thing number one quarterback. With your backup is Jake Rudock. Remember Jake Rudock? of Michigan / Detroit Lions fame.
Yeah, what do you think they're doing here?
I think they're just trying to suck. I think they want Tua.
I was going to say,
I think they want to go 1-15.
Unless they actually think they're going to get a quarterback in this draft.
But I think Fitzpatrick's not the quarterback you actually want if you want to really suck, because he's going to win you some games.
Yeah, he's a wild card for sure, as we saw last year in Tampa.
You know what the worst, I think, sign for Miami and how bad it seems like they must be there is Teddy Bridgewater. They wanted Teddy Bridgewater, and they wanted him. They offered him a deal. They had no quarterback. He would have been their starter. And he said, nah, I'm going to go back up Drew Brees. He's the backup for the Saints. He stayed with the Saints. He could have had a starting job. That team, fantasy-wise, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick could throw up numbers, but can he on that team? But who exactly is Fitzpatrick even throwing the ball to? Devontae Parker? Are you going to buy into that?
I'm not going to buy into anyone on the Dolphins. That's what it comes down to.
Kenny Stills and Devontae Parker. There's going to be some games. I honestly think there's going to be a couple games that are like, whoa, this, where Fitzpatrick throws for 450 yards, and Devontae Parker will have at least one big game, right? I'm almost positive. He's going to have at least one big game. It'll probably be early enough, and we're going to have one waiver wire episode where I'm going to bring up the name Devontae Parker. I'm just going to call it right now, and it's going to happen. And I'm telling myself right now, and anybody listening, when I do that and that comes up, don't listen to me, right? Right? We know this. We know how this plays out. So I'm not going to buy anything. And then, they don't have Frank Gore anymore. No, Kenyon Drake will get a shot. But Fitzpatrick is, when he has his couple big games, please don't buy into it and use him as your starting quarterback, because the 4 interception game's coming really soon after that. So it's just, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's the same thing as don't do that. Don't start Jared Cook. Don't start Jared Cook ever. That kind of thing. Which Jared Cook, has he even signed yet? I don't know. That's a really random transition there. But no, he hasn't yet, has he? He's still looking around. You know why Jared Cook hasn't signed yet? Because the NFL teams realize how inconsistent this guy is.
Yeah, he'll end up somewhere, but yeah, once again, it's gonna. I don't know. I'm so far over Jared Cook. But let's be honest. If he goes to a good team, especially if he's gonna be the undoubted, number 1 tight end, which more than likely he will be.
Yeah, probably.
He'll have a few games. So if you're not gonna pay big on tight end, we've seen it before. He's a great streaming option.
And then Tyler Eifert re-signed with the Bengals on a deal that could get up to $6.5 million. He has to hit some incentives. Actually has a base value of $4 million.
Wow. It's actually more than I thought with his injury history.
But they re-sign, Uzama, whatever his name is, for 3 years, $18 million.
Oh, okay.
So they feel a little better about him, I would think. Then, Randall Cobb. That's a name. That's a name. It's all just a name at this point. Signed with the Cowboys, 1 year, $5 million. I basically think about this is if Randall Cobb couldn't get it done with Aaron Rodgers, don't expect him to get it done with anybody else. Right? No, there's no way, right?
No. He's not going to be, he will not be fantasy worthy. He just doesn't have anything left in the tank.
There's no way.
He hasn't put up anything even close to relevant in the past 3 years in Green Bay. Plus, he's been kind of an injury-prone guy lately as well. Mostly last year, but...
How about Blake Bortles? Sign with the Rams.
If you're going to be a backup somewhere, it's not a bad place to go.
Blake Bortles as your backup, that's not the worst thing in the world. He's not good, but, backup quarterbacks typically aren't good. For the most part. So that's not a terrible one. I guess... go there and be on a good team, I guess. Oh, shoot, they just signed Clay Matthews, too. I didn't see that. The Rams.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they just went sign Clay Matthews. So they'll probably be good again. And then you got the Patriots signing players like Bruce Ellington. So you'll have a little Bruce Ellington hype next year, which Patriots haven't really made these players look like anybody terribly fantasy relevant recently. So... and maybe not buy into that. then yeah, there's not a lot of other major signings. There's just, not a lot. I mean, the Oakland Raiders went and signed J.J. Nelson. Remember J.J. Nelson? From he had a brief 1 or 2 week thing with the Cardinals a couple of years ago where people picked him up. He was a waiver wire guy. Probably not going to have anything more than that. Then, Dante Moncrief signed with the Steelers. 2-year deal for $9 million total.
Yeah, I'd love to see what he could do if he actually stayed healthy. That would be very interesting because he does some unique things on the field. But once again, he couldn't stay healthy. He hasn't gotten it done anywhere he's been the past few years. So, I'm rooting for him, but I don't know if he's actually worth even a stash at this point or like a Hail Mary at the end of the draft.
Then, that's probably it for any kind of fantasy. I mean, some of these guys, can't even call them fantasy relevant, but these are the only guys that could do anything. Then we didn't talk at all about Tyreek Hill. I don't really know what to say or what's happening.
Okay,
so
we're not going to know.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to give any advice as far as what is actually going to happen to him, whether or not he is going to be found guilty or even just be punished, even if he's not.
Yeah,
right?
Who knows?
I mean, NFL, all bets are off. But I would like to know, in your mind, we don't know anything, right? But we just saw Kareem Hunt get suspended for 8 games.
Yep.
What does this do to Tyreek Hill in your mind?
Well, if this is a lingering thing when it gets closer to the season, if this is still just like out there, I'm going to have a hard time drafting him because I already had a hard time drafting him as it was because I ranked him lower than what other people had him because I don't like the inconsistency of just the overall week to week inconsistency, the week and week up and down, because he's just amazing some weeks and not others. So if there's this just kind of lingering thing out there, I'm going to have a hard time with it. And I don't know what to do. A lot of people were mad at me about how I ranked Hill before this came out. So I'm not the biggest Hill fan. I never have been. I know he's a great player, but I just can't buy it. The good weeks are great, but
you say that because you have to get him in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm not going to do it.
How far would he have to drop it for you in order for you to
3rd round? I'd get him.
3rd round.
I would. 3rd round.
Even with this though.
I guess it depends. No, maybe not this year because there's some good running backs there.
Oh, there's a lot of people that you're going to like in the first 4 rounds.
So it might, if this is lingering, I probably don't draft him in the first 3. It would have to be the 4th before I thought about it.
No, I actually agree with you just because I think you can find other people that have very good value and upside, kind of like Tyreek. But yeah, the way the NFL has been going as well, I take that very seriously because it doesn't feel like too many guys get out of it unscathed.
Yeah.
And we even saw it with Zeke. I mean, how long did that take?
If Tyreek Hill did this crap, man, this guy should just go. I just think I wouldn't draft him at all. The guy should just get out of the league, man.
I haven't heard actually what he's even.
I mean, there's like talk that he broke his kid's arm or something. It's like one of those kind of things, man. He already beat his pregnant girlfriend a few years back anyway. So this guy's, I don't think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good guy. It sounds like I thought he turned his life around. Maybe he didn't.
No, it is strange about this.
I shouldn't talk about that.
Right, maybe
piss me off.
Off topic, but I do actually wonder. I mean, it's such a strange thing, right? Because Kareem Hunt, that happened, and they got rid of him immediately.
Yeah. They must know.
So this is the question.
I think that was more of
they knew that the video.
He lied to them once they found out what really happened. They knew there was an incident,
right?
And what Kareem Hunt told them wasn't really true. So maybe they're just waiting to find out the real story at this point. And if what Tyreek Hill has told them probably already isn't the case, then maybe he'll be gone too. If you start doing that, man, Patrick Mahomes is going to start looking at that and thinking, oh shoot, what do you do with him? Sammy Watkins, #1 receiver, huh?
Oh man. Once again, his stock will rise and you won't be able to.
Or it just means Travis Kelce is like a 1st round pick.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, he'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, that's what you do at that point, right?
So after all of this free agency, I mean, it hasn't come to a close yet, but we've gotten the majority of it out of the way. And obviously we still have the draft to go, but where are you looking to see there's major holes in the team that they absolutely have to address with a draft? Like you're thinking, oh man, this is the perfect landing spot for a rookie.
The Giants and a wide or quarterback?
Right. Haskins probably.
No, that's like they need to draft him. They have to. They absolutely have to, right? I mean, there's no way around it. They need a quarterback. It's not going to be Kyler Murray because he's going to go to the Cardinals, which I think that's going to be very interesting too. Kyler Murray and David Johnson. That'll be fun.
Right.
I think I just like Kyler Murray. But Giants need a quarterback. The problem is like with like somebody like a running back, why there isn't like a running back that's just like jumping off the board right now. It's like, I mean, there's tight ends like in the top 10, 12 and mock drafts right now that people are saying the Lions could draft the tight end, which no, please just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Even though that Hawkinson from Iowa, actually both Iowa, there's two Iowa tight ends. And I'm looking at this current NFL mock draft. You got the Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa, going number 10 to Denver, and then Noah Fant, another tight end from Iowa, going number 12. Can you imagine two tight ends from one team in the top 12 of the draft? Now that's one where if the Packers got that tight end, any tight end the Packers get in the first round, you'd be like, you'd overrate him automatically because it's Aaron Rodgers.
Right. But we also, dude, everyone falls in, and I realize that we're just talking here, but it comes down to the same thing year in, year out. And we talk about the tight end that's overhyped because he's on Green Bay, even though the tight end on Green Bay never really does anything that special. And we also talk about how tight ends take forever to develop, and very rarely do they come out and perform. Even Gronk was not he was what, number 10th tight end his rookie season or something.
Yeah, he was down there.
So even he struggled to be a week in, week out guy, and he is possibly one of the best tight ends of all time. So even if they do draft him, I can't imagine that they're going to have pay dirt for fantasy right away.
Then I think a lot of these like good the fantasy players aren't going to go till later in the first half, maybe the first round, which actually maybe is better for fantasy if they go to like a good team. But the Redskins are like in the middle of the draft. They need a wide receiver. Who are their wide receivers right now?
Well, do they?
Do you know who their wide receivers are right now? Could you even? I'm trying to think. And I'm not just asking you that as in like I know.
No. They have. Was it Doxson? Didn't they?
Does that matter?
No, Grant, right?
No.
Hold it. Who did
Grant left last year into like Indy or something.
Dude, I actually have to look this up.
So they have Doxson.
No, didn't they get a slot guy? Am I not remembering this correctly?
I'm looking this up because I'm sitting here thinking, like, what am I forgetting? Yeah. Who do they have? What this is good podcast. Yeah, it's that bad.
Hold it. Are you looking at the same thing? Like their depth chart is not even assembled. So they literally have Doxson, Chesson, and Brian Quick, the only ones that I have named here.
Well, they they signed Paul Richardson, right? I think they signed Paul Richardson.
Yeah.
They have Paul Richardson. That's about it.
Okay, I don't know what they're even going to do. That team is in bad shape.
It's they signed him last year, right? They remember he came from Seattle, and so he didn't really do anything, did he? That's who they have.
No. Yeah. Is that really it?
Because let me see what Richardson did last year. He ended up only playing in 7 games, right? He was hurt most of the year, so he had 20 catches. So it's Paul Richardson, Josh Dock. It is bad. They need to draft a wide receiver in the first third, like pick 15. So they need to get like that DK Metcalf. You know, I haven't dug into the draft too much, but Metcalf was obviously the one who had a lot of extremely just.
He's a freak athlete.
Yeah, just ridiculous. Yeah. That's a really bad wide receiver depth chart.
Dude, I mean, look. Oh my God. Dude.
How do they not draft a wide receiver? Right? They have to.
Be honest. Who in the world are you gonna like? Would you draft anyone on this team?
What, they have Case Keenum at quarterback?
Yeah.
No.
Even running back. I'm not touching
because it's a split now. It's Peterson and Geis probably.
Yeah, I do not like this at all. This whole team is
really bad. How about like this?
Jordan Reed, you can't.
We were left in silence because of how bad this is right now. It's a bad roster.
Really, really terrible. Man, I don't know about giving all that money to Landon Collins all of a sudden when they're. I mean, maybe they have all that money because they didn't didn't pay anyone on the offense. I don't know.
It's bad.
Yeah, that team is just
because
really,
I mean, I remember
bad.
Paul Richardson going over there last year. Thought maybe he would be able to do something. He showed some flashes in Seattle, but nah, he's just one of those guys where nothing's going to happen. And yeah, it's bad. Josh Doxson, we kind of know what he is, which is not much. Yeah, it's ugly. So I think out of all teams, that's one that we know they need to get a wide receiver. And even if they do, though, I'm not very excited about him fantasy wise.
No.
Because it's the Redskins and it's Case Keenum at quarterback.
When do they draft, actually?
They're 15th. But
Yeah,
the thing is, they also
plan.
need a quarterback, though.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Maybe
they need to
make
draft a
play
quarterback
this year in order to get quarterback, and then have him come up behind Case Keenum when they know they're going to suck.
That's maybe what they got to do. They have to draft that. I think they probably have to draft the quarterback.
Who are they going to get, though? Because they're not going to get one of the top two. After that, I mean, I know that they always rank 5 out, but I don't have a good feeling about any of the other ones. Like,
no. Then honestly, I'm looking like sometimes in the mock drafts. There's like no running backs going till the end of the first, and then most of the number one typically ends up being like Josh Jacobs from Alabama, and I've seen him go to Oakland and I've seen him go to Philly, which either one of those makes sense. They both need running backs. I mean, really, what's Oakland doing? Is it still Marshawn Lynch? Like, I don't even know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, they're kind of in need because what they signed, it was Marshawn Lynch, the muscle hamster, and then they had Washington and
Rashard.
Yeah. And
the Eagles. What are the Eagles doing?
Well, obviously, actually, where did Ajayi go?
Nowhere yet. He's been visiting. He's like one of the few. Right. He's like one of the few guys still out there.
Yeah. So he visited a team.
What was he? He was visiting the Colts. Ajayi was.
Okay.
So he's not going to get a starting job.
I assume that the Eagles are going to be rolling with Adams, who is their young guy.
I don't think he's any good.
I don't either, but I don't think they really care.
I think they should care.
I mean, they should. They lost Tate too, so, or not like lost. He was a free agent, but I feel like they could definitely bolster their offense. I think
their offense doesn't like seem as good as it should have been. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but this offense doesn't seem very good.
No, I think they need just an injection of someone else, right? Because their tight ends are great.
Yeah, that's the best. And Alshon's
right.
I don't know about Alshon. Alshon's good, but
Alshon is a good.
Injuries worry me with him. Something he seems to be banged up.
And then you also have who's their number 2? Blanking on his name.
Is Aguilar yet? Yeah,
Aguilar. Yeah. So you have Aguilar, and then you have Adams at running back. Who else did they have? They had they were running like 3 different
Smallwood.
Yeah, Smallwood. I mean, they're fine, but if they could either add a primetime running back, which I don't see them doing this year, but if they could add a very solid like rookie wide receiver they could bring up, that would come a long way. Either that or really try to start giving Goddard more and more.
Yeah.
Ability.
More 2 tight ends out there.
He looked really good too, but you have Ertz there, so obviously you're not going to overcome him.
But all right, I think that's pretty much all I got. Except, I have one listener question came in this week. So we have a question from Trace. He said he's a regular Canadian listener. So we got fans in Canada, actually. He says, love the show. Hope he can answer my keeper question. So he has a keeper question. It's in a full point PPR league. He has 12 teams. He can keep 2 players forever. So forever. Wow. So draft, so it doesn't, take away any picks or anything. So he can keep 2 players forever. And this is actually interesting because I don't know yet what I'm going to do. I think one for sure. Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen, George Kittle, Nick Chubb. 2 forever. So, okay. Antonio Brown should be a sure thing, but he's what? 31 now? Is he going to be 31? And now he's on the Oakland Raiders, which isn't a sure thing. So he'll be 31 in July. Nick Chubb to me is a sure thing for forever. He's a second-year running back. I think you take the second-year running back. I think I have.
I'm not sold. Not yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's risky. There's risk there.
And I realize he has an 8-game suspension, but having Hunt
true,
as well,
true.
It worries me.
And I think Nick Chubb was good, I guess, but
he was good.
I don't know if he's great yet.
But I'll be honest, Hunt was better.
True. He
was on a different team.
He
has
been.
Right, so,
George Kittle's very, very good.
Very good.
It's always nice to have a sure thing tight end for years.
Yeah.
If George Kittle's a sure thing tight end, is he?
Which we don't know yet. I think personally, I'm leaning that way. I think so.
I think so.
I think he's in a good position.
Do you just say?
And who was the last guy?
Keenan Allen.
And Keenan Allen, which is just very solid.
So,
as well.
Do you, in a way, just say, you know what? Even though Antonio Brown's going to be 31, even though he's going to be on a new team, he's still Antonio Brown. And I don't try to look too far in advance in fantasy football anyway. You just keep him on your team.
I think you have to.
Right?
Yeah.
This is just a keeper league. It's not a dynasty even.
Right.
So
exactly.
Even then, I don't even try to look too far in the future in that, because in this, you're not looking beyond really. You know what? Honestly, if it was between Antonio Brown and a similar player who's a lot younger, you go a lot younger. But it's still Antonio Brown. He's still great. You want to win this year. I don't care about winning. I don't care about my fantasy football team in 2020. I want to win now. So I think Antonio Brown's that guy, and you take him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then what do you do? It's just tough. I think Nick Chubb, I'm just trying to think of this. I'm not trying to think of forever, because I think all these guys are actually okay for a while. They'll get you enough fantasy. They'll be good enough for enough years where you're good. Because Antonio Brown's probably the one that's the least likely, but
all right, this is where
this is tough, man.
This is where my head is.
I want to go Brown Chubb, but I kind of like Kittle in a way too. It's weird.
In a weird way, I kind of do too.
No, it's Brown Chubb. It's Brown Chubb. I think. Oh, but Hunt. This is tough.
Well, here's the thing too. You're going to get 8 games without Hunt.
Yep.
Right. So as far as fantasy goes, that is prime time real estate.
But then all of a sudden, a fresh Kareem Hunt comes back in week 9
for playoff time.
In all of this
fantasy playoff.
Yeah, fantasy playoff time. And you don't want to run your second year running back into the ground.
Yes.
And they're going to split the time.
Not to mention, both Hunt and Chubb will be out there then for drafting purposes. And you have to believe that even if a bunch of people, you have a 12-team league, so 24 players are going to be kept. Even with that, we talked about how much deeper running back is this year. It doesn't mean that you can sleep on it, but it does mean that you have a little more leeway.
Or do you think about Keenan? This is full point PPR too. Nick Chubb is not the greatest pass catcher in the world.
Yes, which is why I'm kind of leaning towards either Kittle. I mean, we could make a very good argument.
Okay, does this change anything? So this is 12-team league. He has the 12th pick. So he's not getting one of those early running backs, but he gets 2 picks in a row.
Yeah, in a row. And
he can still get a very good running back, 2 very good running backs probably. But you can also get a really good wide receiver. I don't know who's kept.
Right, we don't know who's kept. And he probably won't know either. He probably has a good idea. But you have to believe that the top guys are kept, right?
Yeah, you would have to think.
So, oof. But if it's a PPR league as well, right? So, okay, the top 5 running backs, guaranteed. They're kept no matter what. No doubt about it. Then you have the top wide receivers. You know, we're talking probably the top 7, 8 are probably going to be kept because it's the full PPR.
Mm-hmm. Keenan Allen's only going to be 27.
Yeah, he's only going to be 27. He's on a good offense. What was his numbers last year?
97 catches, 1196 yards, 6 touchdowns. The year before, he had 102 for 1393.
He catches a crap ton, and they don't have Tyrell Williams anymore. Mike Williams should step up and take more pressure off.
Man, that's just tough.
It is very tough. First of all, I'll be honest. I'm not keeping Chubb.
I'm still leaning that way.
I'm not. I think in a full PPR. Also, who are the tight ends that you would consider better than Kittle?
I mean, only Kelsey and Ertz.
Right.
And some wouldn't say Ertz. I still say Ertz, but
Kelsey will be kept, you would think, in a PPR.
Most likely, and I don't know about her. I don't think Ertz would.
No. And then after that, is there any tight ends that you feel secure about getting?
Oh God, no. But I like some of them.
I know, but in a 12-team league, Kittle is actually in a PPR. He is a very big advantage to have. Because really there's about 5 tight ends in that caliber. And, you know, we don't really know what's going to happen with injury. I mean, you know, I'm putting Hunter Henry in that caliber, but we have no idea.
Man, Man, this is a really tough.
That is so tough. I think you'd have to keep Antonio Brown. And Keenan Allen is killing me on that one too because he is perfect for a PPR. You know what?
You know what? I'm going Brown Chubb. I'm doing it. Brown and Chubb. I'm doing it. I'm going Brown and Chubb.
You know what? I'm not. I'm trying to think who I would take between. I'm trying to think. It's hard because I have a hard time visualizing. Okay, so 24 players are off the board. Where can you actually get these guys? Like, how far up is Allen at that point? Because if you keep, you have to keep Antonio Brown, and say that you keep Keenan Allen then, and you have 2 wide receivers that are locked and loaded. They're going to get a ton of volume, and in a PPR that is going to be, have benefits, let alone anything else. Then you have the 12th pick and the 13th pick. You could go running back.
But my worry is everyone's keeping running backs, and there's no running backs out there, so I feel like I have to keep Chubb.
Could be, but
because if you're at 12, you have to wait a long time, and any running backs out there are going to be gone.
I think at the same time, if you do run into that issue, though, you could probably take Chubb at number 12.
I don't know if he'll be there.
Really?
I think there's going to be that many gone. I can't see many teams having more than 2 of them, so I think most of them are gone. That's my worry is if you don't get Chubb now and you're at 12, it would be a different story if you had a higher pick. That's why I'm going to go Chubb. I just don't think there's going to be running backs. I just don't think there's going to be. I think I'm going Brown Chubb.
I'll give you that. I mean, it's definitely safer.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Brown and Chubb.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say this. It is the safer pick to do that.
But if you know a little bit more about who these running backs are going to be out there,
into it, I think I would. I think that there's definitely a strategy out there where it definitely pays to take another pass catcher.
But you got to know your league. So if you know there's going to be multiple running backs out there and you can get one of them, maybe you don't to keep them. But all right, there. I think we hopefully answered this question.
I think we might have muddied the water.
But all right, I think that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week as we keep gearing up. Toward NFL drafts coming up in what? Where are we at? I'm trying to look at the calendar. Just over a month away. So once we get past that point, we'll really start gearing up already for the season once that happens. But we'll be back next week. Talk to you then.